I've never been to Hungary.
It's a beautiful place.
I'd love to go.
It's a beautiful
sometime,
place.
but my traveling days are over.
Yeah, it's tiring.
The airport is a horror, I think, today. You have
it is.
wait so long. Of course,
It is really.
if you're in a wheelchair, you get a little extra help, but you still have to take off your belt and take off your shoes. And
yes, it's really a long way, but it's a beautiful country, so you might watch a few photos.
What the books? You have all the books of.
Nearly all of them. I have a Life in Pictures and an animated life.
This is our latest one.
I haven't got the latest one.
You have?
I haven't got that.
Oh.
The latest one. It was published last year, I think. I have. So my favorite is. I have it with me. A Life in Pictures, and of course an animated life, because everything is in there.
Yes.
So they are great ones. But I have been doing my research for more than 2 years. So I hadn't planned it to be that long, but I got newer and newer information about your life and your career.
Would this be a book or
a book
or a paperback or a paper?
A paperback, yes.
Paperback.
About 200 pages, according to my plans. Yeah, Hungarian people, unfortunately, aren't quite accustomed to, or aren't quite familiar with classic fantasy and science fiction movies, and I'm trying to make them more
aware.
Yeah, because I don't know, maybe it has got some political reasons as well. Hungary had almost 40 years of Soviet control, so in the past we were told which films to watch, and the most people movies weren't broadcast or shown in theaters in Hungary. I'm sure that
they had to be propagandized.
Yes.
Sir, where do you want to put these?
I think Mom would like to, if it won't give her hay fever, I don't think so. She's subject to that.
Okay.
If you wouldn't mind taking that up. Can you, he'd like to see in what vase you put them in.
Oh, good. Okay. Great.
Good.
Great.
Tell her that it's from Mr.
Peter Kolárik.
Peter
Kolárik. From Hungary.
The Hungarian.
Did you have any visitors from Hungary or from Central Europe?
Did I what?
Have visitors from Central Europe or Hungary?
No, not that I can remember. I've had visitors from France and visitors from various parts of Europe, but not from Hungary. I don't believe.
I suppose G. Pencil also.
My memory isn't what it used to be. At 92.
That's a nice age.
It's not for me.
It's beautiful.
It has its problems. You pay a price for age.
Yeah, I can imagine. But you're still very active and...
Well, I've still got most of my marbles. A friend of mine sent me a box of marbles. That could be, it's an old saying in America, when you lose your memory, you lose your marbles. She sent me a big box of glass marbles.
and you still have all of them. That's great.
She was British. But she smokes a pipe.
Sir, Mom told me you want to see Peter.
What?
You want to see him.
Right.
It's okay.
If you go up, we can talk.
Okay.
Right.
You still got all those marbles, Ray?
I still have most of them, I hope.
Nice hat.
Yeah, I know. I don't know where I have a chance to wear it. It looks like a little priest hat.
Yeah, it does.
It's beautifully made. And there's nothing much to say on this recording is going. I think it is. But there's nobody here to talk to. So we'll have to have a pause. We'll call this an emotional pause, I believe. The man has gone upstairs, Mr. Hungarian. Which I don't know whether I should turn this off or not. Let's see, how do you turn? Milo!
Yes, sir.
I don't know how you turn. He's coming down. I didn't know this is still running, so
That's okay.
you'll have a.
That's okay.
I thought it might.
Just for 1 hour, so
Yes.
no problem. Well, I have
Go ahead.
a wife. It's just a
Ask me any
kind lady.
question.
I have a question about your creatures, because you have a lot of them, and I know that you don't have a favorite because the others would get jealous. But
You've read that.
but which
I just received that from a fan.
the photograph?
Photograph.
Beautiful.
It's a beautifully sculptured bronze.
Bronze. And that the crown was sculpted by you.
I did the
The
comb.
little Ray right there. Oh, and I can see you too.
When Fay Ray saw it, she said I was never that thin.
Beautiful.
And I defied, if people can glamorize, Hollywood can glamorize people, I can glamorize the gorilla.
Yeah.
So I gave it slanting eyebrows instead of straight eyebrows.
Yeah, a giant ape with personality. In Hungary, a lot of people haven't even seen the original comic.
They've never seen.
Or maybe.
I hope they
on
see the
video.
original, because the ones that were made afterwards are never the same. The original was very unusual, at least to me.
And it's still perfect from the first moment to the last.
Yeah, the people who copy it have a different point of view. But the Max Steiner was a great musician.
Yeah.
He was Austrian.
Yes, he was.
Yes.
He did a great
He did a
score.
great score for that film.
I think his score was unprecedented. So, for example, when the chief of the tribe walks down the stairs and the music follows his steps, absolutely
And
beautiful.
a lot of people condemn that. They call it Mickey Mouse. But that's everybody does that. Nicholas Rocha had his sessions, and so did many others. Alex North.
Which of your creatures do you think hasn't got the attention he or she already deserved?
I don't know.
Don't you know that?
I was surprised he latched on to the Phocarocus.
Yeah.
Because that's usually a rather rare. People in the average critic called it a big chicken.
A big chicken, yeah, or a turkey.
Yeah. They didn't know what to call it.
It's very hard to pronounce its name.
It is.
Actually.
It's made by professors, and we can't. We don't make these pictures for professors. We have to glamorize them for films. We've often been criticized. I know we were criticized extensively in the early days of not sticking to the Greek mythology. But you know, the Greek mythology is very fragmented.
Yeah.
It doesn't have. Wouldn't hold an audience in a theater for an hour and a half.
If you choose only one myth and try to
So
follow
you
that
have to
storyline.
steal from other myths to make a flowing type of film that will be. After all, we don't make these. I had a little 5-year-old one time call me. He said, "Mr. Harryhausen, you don't know anything about pterodactyls." He says, "They don't have bat wings." So I said, "You're quite right, but I know a lot about pterodactyls. I had to put bat wings, so it gives them the effect of being airborne. You know, you can make the wings so that they bulge, and look like the air is keeping them up aloft, not wires.
Or the dinosaurs, for example, with their tails. A few years ago, someone said that they weren't dragging their tails. It was up in the air. But for me, when I was a kid, all my dino books and pictures were about tails dragging dinos. So for me, a dinosaur is the old way from the 60s and 70s.
That's from
or even
Charles
before.
Knight's drawings. He was one of the early ones that worked with the men who dug the bones up, paleontologists, and Willis O'Brien always was influenced heavily by him, and I was influenced. He's done some beautiful artwork in Los Angeles at the La Brea Tar Pits. In the Los Angeles Museum, they had a big panorama about the size of that room and that wall and this wall, the long one, of the La Brea Tar Pits in the early days. And you've seen pictures of it.
Yes.
And a beautiful painting. He only had one eye, I found out.
Did he?
He had an accident when he was very young, and he only had one eye. So I thought, and he did such beautiful paintings. So he's got many books out, Charles Knight.
Yeah. Yes. I know his works.
And I always feel the man who said the dinosaurs were tails were up in the air. They look constipated.
Yes, they are.
You see dogs walking that way and problems. We won't go into that discussion anymore. But everybody comes up with a new idea to get a little attention, I suppose.
Yes.
And one day somebody will find that the tails were down. Because nobody really knows their color.
And they never will, I think.
Well, the color disappears because of the age of them, of course.
So no longer
if you're buried under the ground, you can't keep the same color when you were alive.
How do you feel in London? How long have you been living here?
What?
Decades. How do you like London?
Oh, I like London. I made it my home now. Things are easier than in Los Angeles. You have to have a car. It's so vast that, and then they keep changing all my landmarks. Every time I go back, I think, where is it?
In another city.
Particularly.
Which was the point when you decided that you would move
But
to
I
London?
married an English lady. She claims she's Scottish, so
yes.
I don't see the difference. I think they're under the same law.
How did you meet in the first place? Was it at a party?
Oh, we met at the party with my landlady.
And you were introduced at
and we were introduced
and here's Diana
we
Livingstone.
seemed to click. You've seen some of my sculptures?
I've seen some of them. I saw
3 of them in the hall. You might turn on the light overhead.
Yeah.
So you can see the sculptures better.
Where's the light switch?
Oh, I can't see.
No, that's the.
Where's the light switch?
That's a. Yeah. Now that's the Livingstone. That was the first one.
That was the first one?
One of the first ones. For Clash of the Titans.
And then there's the Livingstone.
Yeah, I know that. And it's in big size, it's Hoffman.
It's 1.5 times that's life size.
Yes, I've seen a documentary about it.
That's just off the.
There is nose, I think.
It's outside of Glasgow.
Outside of Glasgow. Oh, I haven't been there so far, but if I travel there one day, I will not miss it. I will not forget to check it. So dynamic.
Yeah, there's that one, which is very different.
Oh, I know this one.
That was the last one I did.
This one?
Yes. We have a pause now, I think. They're looking at the sculptures. There are two in here. Three, I think. There's the one on the left and one on the right.
Oh, my breakfast. Oh, this is the prehistoric challenge. Oh, there's the other Ray. That's really there.
This one I had to make the dragon small because the dragon was bigger than Sinbad.
Yes.
He'd be overpowered by the dragon.
You have 12 of them, I think.
What?
You have 12 of these bronzes, I think, or 13.
What?
These bronze sculptures, you have 12 of them, or 13,
No.
or more.
The bronze ones, yes.
Mm-hmm.
But they're very expensive.
Yeah.
They have to
There's
be.
one just there as well.
This is one from
Oh,
Tshikosh.
funny, yeah.
That's from Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it?
Golden Voyage.
Golden Voyage.
Golden Voyage, Sinbad. Yes.
I should know that. My marbles are running.
The Golden Voyage. One of my favorites, actually.
That was Nicholas Roche's code.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. It's in kind of Hungarian. Oh, and I can see a boo-boo here. Who gave it to you?
Yeah, that's Little Boo-Boo.
Little boo-boo.
Gentle Giant put it out.
Mm-hmm. I haven't seen that one before. And a small Ray Harryhausen bust. These bronzes are great. It's a good idea to preserve them in bronze.
The what?
It's a good idea to preserve these
Well, I'm
figures
trying
in
to.
bronze.
There's only one of those in bronze I haven't sold any of them.
Mm-hmm.
Just one for me. But I
This
didn't think
sculpture is really huge.
there are about 6 of those out.
Wow.
Several in New York, I think, and one in Texas, and one in Arizona, I think it is.
I see.
I've forgotten now, it's so long ago.
But this one is the original.
I did that many years ago as a homage to Colm.
Yes. The egg that changed your life,
Uh,
I'd say. When was that photo taken with Prince Charles in your company?
Oh, that was many years ago at the opening of when, they made Museum of Moving Image. Did you ever hear of that?
Of course.
Yes. And that was on the left bank. And it's closed now.
Is it?
But our museum, I still have an exhibition at the Big Wheel. Where the
Yes.
stars
I think I will check it in the afternoon.
You're going to see that there.
Yes, in the afternoon.
Yes, there's a museum. That's called the London Museum.
London Film Museum.
Why not? I once was in London in 2006. I saw the museum, but I didn't go in. But this afternoon I will.
Yeah.
I hope it is done.
Yes, it'll be there for another year. I think it'll be beyond the Olympics.
Yes. And which creatures of yours are there in that?
The crab.
The crab?
And many others.
And many others.
I can't remember all of them.
Are they all in?
Castle and Tony Dalton arranged them. So they're in Charlie Chaplin has an exhibition in there as well. And I think Star Wars had a few items. So it'll be there for quite some time. But the museum never seems to advertise. I don't know why.
I knew about
How did you
other
do it?
exhibitions, but they are in Bedford or somewhere.
Bradford.
Bedford. Mm-hmm.
BAFTA.
Bradford.
Bradford,
Bradford.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the center of the exhibitions will later be. They're the only ones that have room to store all this. I never threw anything away.
That's a good decision. I suppose that these puppets need quite
They need a lot of
maintenance.
repair, yes, because you know they're made on rubber,
Yeah.
and the rubber deteriorates.
Right. Mm-hmm.
As they said in the old dark house, it's fine material, but it rots.
At home I have a very small piece of the brontosaur from King Kong.
Oh yes, this sponge rubber.
About this size, you know.
It's a bath sponge. They were selling that because it was falling to pieces.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
It's so old. They found all of those Kong models in a basement when Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz had owned the studio.
Mm-hmm.
They found them all in the heap in the basement, just piled up.
God.
And Forey rescued some of them.
Oh, it's great they were found.
I think now Forey is in Never Never Land, and
Yes.
I think the fellow in New Zealand, what's his name? Peter Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
He has them. He bought a lot of things from Forey.
Yeah, I know that. He had a lot of things.
Including my images of the Capitol Dome and the other building, the Treasury building, I think it was.
He even has, I think, drums of the natives.
Yes, he has.
And a lot of things.
But he did a different interpretation
Yes.
of Kong,
Absolutely.
not like the original.
Absolutely. It's part homage, but part exhibition is my thing. So he.
You know, you can buy a DVD of
Mhm.
the original.
I have one.
You have one,
Of
yes.
course. It's a must-have. It's a must-have for all fantasy film fans. So it started it all. So it's really a different interpretation. A bit better than the 76
Yeah.
version. A bit
I thought
better,
it was
but-
more impressive because, you know, you have to put it back in time. At the time, now we're inundated with films. We weren't inundated then.
Mhm.
We used to look forward to seeing a film Saturday night. Where now you have television, you have everything.
Yes. It was a totally different world.
Films don't mean anything anymore. They used to mean a lot to people.
Yeah, there are a lot of different.
Life is that way.
Go to
Take
a
the
movie.
bitter with the sour, as Samuel Goins said.
Were there any movies in the past decades, in the 80s or the 90s, that you feel that you would have liked to make them? So are there any
That's
movies
hard to say. That's looking back,
Yeah.
and you have to put yourself in that period.
Mhm.
I can't. I mean, what I would do now, I wouldn't make it.
And by the way, were you ever asked, after your retirement, after Clash of the Titans, were you ever asked to help in the effects of other films, which you turned down?
No, I didn't want to.
I
It's
know
not
that
my
you
cup
didn't
of
want to,
tea.
but were you asked by anyone?
Well, there were several people that wanted me to,
Mhm.
but they wanted me to get involved with that latest so-called Clash of the Titans. I didn't want to. I heard it was terrible. I haven't seen it.
It was.
Oh.
It's better for you that you haven't seen it. I saw it once, but that was enough for me.
They wanted to borrow Bubo, and I didn't want to get connected with it in any way,
Mhm.
because,
Still they did.
you know, I do things in a different way than they would do them,
Mhm. Yes.
and you can't transfer that to other people.
I just don't understand why Clash needed a remake.
I don't understand
No, sad.
at all. Who can get Who else could play Zeus but
Yes, you're right.
Mr. What's his name now?
Olivier.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jean
Laurence
Olivier. He was the epitome of the fine actor of England.
So I think these movies don't need a remake. I'm afraid of.
Well, see,
of
they
the
don't have
remake.
any. There are a lot of people in the business. Just because you own a camera, that doesn't make you a director. That doesn't make you a star. Any woman that shows her bosom on television or somewhere is called an actress. You know? So they're a dime a dozen today. They used to say that about Hollywood, that a pretty girl is a dime a dozen in Hollywood.
You had, back to class, you had assistants like Jim Danforth and Steve Archer. How did you find them? Or how did you meet them?
Oh, I knew
first?
Jim was a fan of mine for years.
He was quite young at the time.
Oh, yes. Everybody gets old.
And did you look for him, or did he look for you when it came to collaboration? So who?
We didn't
who made them
collaborate.
first?
No, the picture was already laid out before he came on,
Oh.
and before Stephen Archer.
Mm-hmm.
We had photographic trouble with Eastman Kodak material, which put us back for release date. See, they have this chain of releases, dates that you have to meet certain, and stop motion, unfortunately, is very time consuming.
It is. But it's a great achievement that you did it for a right time.
I'm glad that, I was happy doing it. I didn't consider it work. I considered it play.
It was like a play.
I didn't go to dancing pubs and drinking places. I never wanted to follow the Hollywood pattern, so I always did it privately.
And it's the best way to do it.
But there's a place for everything. Some people prefer, it depends on the individual. I prefer to work alone.
Oh? That it worked.
I made 16 features and a lot of shorts.
Yes, I have a 5-year-old son, and
Have you seen they would like those fairy tales?
yes,
The early years. Have you seen that?
yeah, there was a DVD, the early
That's all right.
collection. I have that, and I have a 5-year-old son, and he loves them. His favorite is Little Red Riding Hood and
You have to take great
and
liberties of fairy tales because some of them are rather lascivious. And so you have to manipulate them, and sometimes you get criticized for that. But you've got to make them so that they work out for a screen. Like everybody criticized 1 million BC because they said no humans lived there.
Who cares?
But you know,
Fantasy.
walking with dinosaurs just has a lot of animals walking around and fighting. And you're telling a different type of story, and people don't seem to realize that. I know when I'm at these conventions, I used to, when people bring me stills to sign, I would say, did you go to see 1 million BC for Raquel Welch or my dinosaurs? Of course they have to say my dinosaur.
I hope that one day I will be able to show all of your films to my son.
They're better to be seen on a big screen because they were not made for the idiot box.
Yeah. So we just watched them on big screen TV.
Yeah.
I showed him. I think it was a bit early for a 5-year-old. But I showed him Guanji, Valley of Guanji.
Yeah.
But he
that was an
watching
O'Brien
the-
project.
He was just watching the first part, and the Oedipus is his favorite character.
Who?
My son's favorite character.
Is what?
El Diablo is his favorite.
El Diablo?
El Diablo. Oh, he loves that little horse.
They were all dubbed, of course. They had different voices, you know, they put in different voices. We had Jerome Ross do the score for that.
Jerome Ross.
Not a Hungarian.
No, but still a great score. Actually, this Jerome Ross score is my wake-up signal. When I wake up in the morning.
You don't tell me. You mean you have a clock that turns it on?
Not a clock, but that phone has an alarm function, and I programmed it that way. So I wake up for the music of the Ballet of Guangxi. And when someone calls me, it's the tune of the Seventh Voyage.
Oh yeah.
My ringtone.
Bernard Herrmann.
Yes.
Herrmann
was a great, great guy.
Yeah, he died too early. He was born the same time I was, only 10 years older. No, I've been fortunate in having some great people do our scores. Charles and I always tried to get the best musicians who are most suitable. Because the way they write scores today with the Moog.
Yeah, it was a great.
I know they have to turn these television things out very quickly, so that's the simplest things to do. When films, you know, Nicholas Rocha was quite upset because Charles, we got penalized if you know, you have to take some money set aside for the music to solve another problem that suddenly arose. And Nicholas Rocha was quite upset with not getting a bigger orchestra. But he did a fine score, otherwise. Not one of his greatest, but the Thief of Baghdad score was very inspired, I think.
Have you got a film that you don't really like the score of?
Never on television.
I mean your movies.
Well, no. I think we've got, at the time, they had to fit.
And what is the movie that you, of yours, that you, how to say, dislike the most, or
I
not
don't
quite
dislike it.
No, but you know, least satisfied with.
Well, see, I see things differently than you would see them. You see the finished product. You don't know what it took to get the finished product at the time, you know. We had problems with Jason and the Argonauts. To get to the skeleton location, which is different than it is today, we had to run over, the trucks had to run over olives that were on the ground. And we ended up paying for crushed olives. So, see, you have to steal from one section of the, in order to balance it out. They don't realize, the average person, and they shouldn't, realize what goes into making a film. The Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, we had enormous trouble. Everything had to be dubbed later because our battery sound, we were one of the first ones to go to Spain. So they didn't have the proper equipment. And we had I think a raft of batteries that we had to lug around, and the sound didn't work properly, and we had to redub everything. But fortunately, you don't see that.
I just see the finished product, which is perfect.
But to get, you know, that's why people ask me questions, and I can't say the same thing because I see it differently than you see it. Because you see the finished product, where I only see the problems we had getting to that point.
By the way, the seventh voyage was quite a turning point. I think if I have to name the most inspiring movie for other filmmakers, then I think it was the seventh voyage.
Yes.
A lot of people say that James Cameron or I think Peter Jackson, a lot of them.
Because
inspiring influence for them.
I took it around to a lot of producers and they turned it down. I took it to Edward Small, and when he saw, he wouldn't even see me. I couldn't get past the secretary. But I left him all my drawings, and he. So later, when Sinbad, Seventh Voyage, made such a big success, he wanted to jump on the bandwagon, and he made Jet the Giant Killer. He hired everybody but the person who thought of it in the first place.
Jack and the Giant Killer has also got a remake in the making, as far as I know.
That's what they say, yes.
Maybe the same guys who did the classic remake, I don't know.
You know, what do you call these things? Computers.
Oh, right.
They've changed the industry. Now they're not even using film anymore.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
Which is a shame.
I still love the movie, where you can run and film and see it. Not wish to see it either.
Do you believe in the renaissance of stop motion technology
What?
in feature film? The rebirth of stop motion technology. Don't you think that one day filmmakers will say that this way was better and let's try to make a movie?
Yeah, but they're all striving to make fantasy realistic, and I think that's a big mistake. That was the charm of the first King Kong, was you knew it wasn't real, and yet it looked real, and at the time it was a fresh approach. But now you look back and you say that's old-fashioned, but that's not true.
It's interesting because if you see computer-generated Kong, you can see every single hair of its fur. So we can say that it's realistic, but the way they move, they jump
Well, that
great
defeats
heights.
the point.
Absolutely unbelievable.
That defeats the point of fantasy.
Or if you take a Medusa, for example, with its giant body, if you do it in stop motion, it has to go from point A to point B physically, inch by inch or millimeter by millimeter, and with a computer-generated Medusa, which is sliding on the walls and on the ceiling, it's nonsense. So
It's different.
the physics.
It's a different approach. Well, scoring films, half the films that are on television today, I point at that because our television half the films you see on television have no continuity anymore. All of a sudden people appear and you don't know why they are or who they are until later, you know. It's a different approach. There was a wonderful book out years ago called Inside Warner Brothers, and the problems they had making some of those films, it's just remarkable. Warner Brothers, you know. But they solved the problems. People don't know about that. But it's a different world. They didn't have an ending until the last minutes of Casablanca, according to that book. But it's just a different way. Anybody that has a camera today considers themselves a director
Yes,
and a
filmmaker.
producer.
This is sad.
It used to be a mystique making films, but no more.
And the end product for the audience was pure magic, especially when they didn't have an idea of how it was made, how these creatures were made to move, maybe even life. And now everything is explained. Oh, it's done by a computer, and and that's the only explanation, and people accept it. But I think the mystique, the
Well,
wonder,
the magazines
the miracle has
show
gone
all
away.
the tricks that filmed, what is called Cinefix. They show blue backings and all that. And that, I know when I look back at Kong, when I first saw it, I didn't know how it was done. And it amazed me, but I finally found out. As you could see.
Yes, you could tell that it wasn't a man in suit, or it wasn't a hand puppet, and it was a miracle.
It was a complete mystique. And Willis O'Brien, when he won the Academy Award, nobody was knocking on his door. And he had, you know, that Godzilla versus Frankenstein?
Yes.
Or King Kong versus Frankenstein or Godzilla, one of the others.
Originally, it would have been...
It was practically a remake of The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. Godzilla. And yet they've made remakes of Godzilla. And not of The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms.
Yeah, but Toho preferred the suit-mation way, the man in suit way.
Not a man in a suit.
A man in a suit with
Godzilla was a 5-year-old would know that it was a man in a Godzilla suit. Just like the first 1 million BC, they had men in dinosaur suits. The one that invaded the village. So I felt we could do it better in animation. That's why I took it on.
Yeah. Were there any other films apart from 1 million BC that you would have loved to make a remake of, or didn't you care about remakes?
No, I don't.
Already for it.
We tried to get originals. Onesie was sort of a remake, but Willis O'Brien started it way back in 1940s. And they made Little Orphan Annie instead. RKO. He put a year's work in, we changed the story quite a bit on Onesie when we got it.
But at last it was made.
So the unions make all sorts of demands, and like Willis O'Brien didn't get any credit for the story. And
oh, that's sad.
It is. He did a lot of stories. People are putting a lot of Willis O'Brien drawings. I gave Forey several of them, and I see they're on the website for quite a tiny sum. I wish I had kept them. But see, it was a different time.
He had a lot of projects that became abandoned. War Eagles, for example, that would also
yes, see, War Eagles would be old hat now because of men riding on the backs of eagles was done so well with Avatar.
Yes.
Did you see Avatar?
Yes, once.
Yeah, the blue people. Well, they were riding on dragons of some sort. So if you made War Eagles today, they would say you copied the Avatar.
Yes. Possibly. It was around the time of making or preparing to War Eagles that you first met O'Brien.
He was preparing War Eagles, yes.
When he first met
But Marion Cooper had to go into the Flying Tigers. He was a major. Marion Cooper. So he left MGM and the product just fell apart. He held it together. Have you ever read the books on Marion Cooper?
About his life?
Yeah.
No. I just saw a documentary about
Mr.
his
Vez.
life.
He wrote a complete book of early life. He crashed an airplane twice.
Yes, I know that.
in the First World War. He had plastic surgery on his face.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And he was the head of RKO.
I did that once. He navigated a plane with his elbows because it was too hot for his hands, and he had to land with the plane using his elbows only for maneuvering.
Yeah, I've heard.
So
They're all different stories.
an incredible guy.
But try to get Vez's book if you can on there.
I will.
By Mark, I think it's Mark Vez.
Mark
V-A-Z. V-A-Z.
V-A-Z? Mm-hmm. Well, I was writing it down.
And when Ernest Schoepsack directed Mighty Joe Young, he was half blind because a gun backfired in his eye, and he was practically blind when he directed. Yet Cooper had him direct Mighty Joe Young, who helped with his assistant, of course.
Mighty Joe Young was even better than Son of Kong, for example.
Well, Son of Kong was a farce. They just made it to cash in on King Kong.
But
That was Schoepsack's idea. He said, if you can't make it dramatic, you make it comical. It's not for comedy. When that becomes a puppet film. I think Aardman are doing a wonderful job with puppet films. But they're obviously puppets. They're not... the difference in our pictures are that we use a puppet to be an artificial character in the film of the story itself. That's the difference.
Yeah.
And they're not supposed to be looked upon as puppets.
It would be ridiculous if it looked like a puppet, but it is in contact with human characters or real backgrounds. So
that's very important. In Europe, they always consider that the director makes dreams of the picture. Well, that's not true at all in Hollywood, because there are many people that work on the script. We sometimes have 5 writers, 6 writers, and maybe only one writer gets the credit, and it's the ideas of other people as well. So it's a difficult subject when you know the details.
But after a time, all of these movies, like the Sinbad movies and all the others, were based on your original ideas.
Basically, some of them were not. We wanted to do Perseus many years ago, but it wasn't until Beverly Cross lived in Greece for some time and drew the basis of the story of Clash of the Titans. Of course, I added a lot of the way I would do it too. But we stole from the Hercules legends as well as other legends.
Yeah.
And you get condemned for it. For example, I made Talos, the bronze giant. I made him very stiff because we put a sound effect of twisting metal on. And people criticized me for doing jerky animation.
But a giant bronze statue must move jerky, of course. It cannot be flexible, made of bronze. Oh, it was quite a scary scene when he first turned his head towards you. I saw it on a small screen. I can't imagine what it could have been.
You should see it on a great big screen now. It makes a difference.
And the same thing with the Cyclops when it appears, with its strange sound. So it could have been really scary.
Well, that's what they call, I guess, theatricality.
I love all the characters. My favorite is I don't know, it's hard to decide. I have 2 or 3 of favorite characters of yours. Trog is one of them.
Who?
Trog.
Trog.
The troglodyte
Yes.
from Sinbad. I love the moon calf. Actually, my favorite Harryhausen movie is The First Man in the Moon.
People seldom remark about Trog, and I think it's one of my best animations.
Yeah, I agree. And he's so lovable, and you feel sorry for him.
He's just not a monster. That's why I like to call them misunderstood creatures.
He has a nice personality, so when he dies, you feel sorry for him.
Well, in 20 Million Miles to Earth, we tried to make the emir. We didn't want to call it an emir because it would interfere with the the Arabic concept of an emir, and people would misunderstand it. So we never used the term. But some of the characters, they called it finally then the emir. Y-M-I-R, not E-I-M-E-R.
It wasn't said in the film that he is an emir.
But see, he wasn't malicious toward humanity until the farmer jabbed a pitchfork in his back.
Yes.
What would you do if somebody jabbed a pitchfork?
I would be quite angry, I suppose. What about the coloring of these?
What?
Films? The coloring of these old black and white movies of yours. I know that they were shot in black and white. The first.
Have you seen the colored version?
And I haven't seen the colored version.
The 20 Million Miles to Earth, they did a wonderful job on it.
I haven't seen that.
Did you ever see She, that Marion Cooper made?
I have She and The Most Dangerous Game and Things to Come in color.
Yes. In color?
In color.
Good.
It's in a nice metal box with Ray Harryhausen collection on it.
Yeah, you must have got it off of Amazon.
But I haven't seen your works in color.
See, Things to Come has a peculiar problem that I think Granada owns the rights here, and they don't own the rights in America. Somebody else owns the rights in America. So there's certain pictures you can't, like The Most Dangerous Game was remade at least 6 times. But not, I don't think as well as the first one.
And I think that The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms isn't colored, or wasn't.
Well, I've seen colored tests of it.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you think there is a possibility for it to?
I would think so.
To be colorized?
I think it would be colorized. I think it is colorized. There's a colorized version of it somewhere.
Oh, I haven't heard of that.
I don't have it yet.
So do you think I don't have to be afraid of the colored versions of It Came from Beneath the Sea?
You what?
I don't have to be afraid of the colorized versions.
No,
do you think?
it's a better process than the early colorized versions of King Kong. They colorized King Kong 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 or 20 years ago. But it wasn't a similar process. It's a different process, and it wasn't very successful. You wouldn't think of colorizing Citizen Kane.
Or The Lost World. The Lost World from 25. I cannot imagine a colored version of it.
No. They have a program on television called The Lost World, and it's certainly not like Conan Doyle would turn over in his grave.
Is it a TV series or
It's
something
a
like that?
TV series, You get 139 channels on Virgin, and about only 5 are worth looking at. A lot of them are these strange popular dancing routines where everybody dances, jump something down, and that's down, you know. They even win prizes doing this.
So that's
I don't
entertainment
understand
nowadays.
it, but that's the way it is.
So that's entertainment nowadays. I hardly ever watch TV, to tell the truth. I watch DVDs. I watch my DVD collection, so I use the television set for playing DVDs. That's the best.
Well, I hope you have enough for your...
Yes, thank you very
What
much
you can't
again
get
for
out of
letting me.
the books, so you can...
Pardon?
What you can't get out of the books, you'll get out of this.
Oh.